Will to Rebuild was nerfed this past update, and I've been meaning to talk about it for quite some time, so today is the day. This game that you see before you is yet another game featuring the Tier 7 Premium United States Battleship Georgia. I know I've featured it many times before, but that's because it's one of my favorite ships. And I haven't been running Will to Rebuild on my battleships in quite some time, so I'm not running it in this game. Instead, I'm using Fight Fire with Fire. But the thing is, in this game, we're going to run into quite a bit of HE spam near the end, and that HE spam is going to be very, very threatening in a way that it isn't usually. So mostly during this video, I want to talk to you about how to counter HE spam because there is a way to do that without Will to Rebuild, despite the battleship mains perhaps complaining that there is not. After Will to Rebuild was nerfed, of course, if you looked on the forums for World of Warships Legends, say in Discord chats, on Reddit, Facebook, etc., you would see a number of battleship mains complaining that HE spam is too powerful, there's nothing they can do about it, they need the Will to Rebuild in order to counter it so they can get into a division, they can park two battleships next to each other in the same grid square and just sit there completely still, bow tanking the enemy while the HE spam crashes down upon their hull, lights fires, and just melts away their hit points. And therein lies the key. I think I've made this point many times before, but the counter to HE spam is actually quite simple. And I don't want to sound reductive when I say this, but you can basically boil it down to the immortal maxim that I articulated to you some time ago during a live commentary in a video featuring the Jambar. Close your ears, children, if foul language offends you, but the counter to HE spam means one thing for you. If you're a battleship player, you need to move your fucking battleship. It really is that simple. Moving your battleship, maintaining your maneuverability is the thing that is going to help you counter HE spam. And there's one more thing that I've also recommended historically in a video featuring the USS Iowa. Build for concealment on your battleship. My standard battleship build these days includes, of course, the concealment module in the third mod slot, and then I use Condo as one of the inspirations. That's the build I'm using here on Georgia, of course, and my concealment is 12.6 kilometers by sea, which is going to come in handy later on. Now, moving your battleship is all well and good, but there's something you need to recognize. So let's take a look at this game. We've spawned in the center. We're trying to play in the center along with Aaron and Juice, although I think Juice has sunk. He might have been the first ship to go down. The two of them are in a division with us. Aaron here is trying to take out this Akazuki. I think he's actually going to succeed. We're going to try to help him by getting our guns on target, but he may in fact go down in the process. The Akazuki is a little bit of a threatening DD. Aaron does get him, but he is going to lose all of his HP in the process. There's one more destroyer out there. We're going to need to try to shoot at it, but I don't think we're going to be able to take it out, and Aaron does go down. That leaves us the last person left alive in the center. So here's what we need to recognize. Sometimes there is a time for pushing in with a battleship, and sometimes there is not. This game has an ebb and flow to it, and that's something you need to learn to sort of recognize. Disengaging when the time is right is a skill that you need to master in a battleship. Right now, we really cannot push straight into this Jambar and this Vittorio Veneto. We've got two ships spotted north of the Charlie Cap, one of which is a battleship. We also know there's a Fletcher over there in that direction because he just took out Aaron. So if we push in now, what's going to happen? Well, we're going to be pointing our bow at the Jambar and Veneto, and we're not going to be able to push in all the way. We're just going to have to stop there and bow tank them. And meanwhile, that battleship over near Charlie may be able to get access to our broadside if we do that, and the same is true of the battleship there north of Alpha. So if we push straight in now, we're at risk of losing all of our HP. We're down to half health. We haven't exactly been playing the best to begin with, and this isn't going to end up being a very high damage, spectacular game in any sense of the word. This is actually quite a sweaty lobby. This game was played during one of Aaron's streams when he was doing count-ins, so practically every player in it on both teams is more skilled than your average Johnny Potato, which means the damage output is not going to be as high, and it's going to be a lot harder to win than it is against the average team of potatoes. But in any case, we found an opportunity. We disengaged, we went dark, we reset the situation. Only now do we push back in when we are concealed. We are going to take a shot at the Baltimore. We predict he's going to go forward, erroneously actually. He might end up going forward, but we sort of jumped the gun there, so we completely miss. We're still spotted, nothing shooting at us. We should go dark here, so long as nothing is within our detectability range as soon as the firing penalty wears out. And we do go undetected, so we know the destroyer's not within 12.6 kilometers of us, or if he is, he doesn't have line of sight. And we can continue pushing in without having to worry about being spotted. But things are getting dangerous, and we need to pay attention to the map. There's a battleship creeping up over here. It's the Veneto, so we need to keep him in mind because we may have to deal with him soon. But the situation is becoming not necessarily dire. There's still 8 minutes left to go in this game. Our team has just managed to flip Alpha. I think actually our Vladivostok did that, which is why he's going to end up so high on the leaderboard at the end of this game. You'll see soon. But in any case, we're going to need to start thinking about taking caps because the enemy is inside of Charlie. They're going to be able to flip it as long as that battleship that is south of Charlie is not able to stop them, which he won't be because there's 2 ships there. We run into the Veneto. We're turning away again in case we need to disengage. We don't want to get stuck bow in. That would be a mistake. You can see the Baltimore starting to shoot us right now, so we're retreating. If, on the other hand, we went forward a little bit, we got stuck bow in against the Jean Bar and had to stop, we would have to sort of do the standard battleship maneuver, which is just sit there still, except you reverse a little bit in order to get out of the way. I don't know why people do this, but then the Baltimore over there in Charlie would simply farm us. So what we don't do is we don't compromise our maneuverability. We once again disengage, we go dark thanks to our concealment, we reset the situation once more, and we're going to attempt to push in again. This is, again, the ebb and flow of this game. Sometimes you can push in, sometimes you can't. Sometimes you have to realize that if you do push in, you will be melted and you will be focused to oblivion. So now, we're going to try this again. We really need to get into the Bravo cap now, though, because the enemy has secured 2 caps. They're accruing points from both, and they're quickly overtaking us on points. The ship count is almost even. We've lost only 3 ships. The enemy team has lost 2, so they're a little bit ahead of us in that sense. But now, Veneto is pushing out, so we see an opportunity to hopefully take a big chunk out of his HP by hitting his broadside. We come up a little short on that, only 4 penetrations, no citadels, so the Veneto is maybe a little bit lucky that he doesn't end up going down. And this is going to give him a chance to maneuver, but we need to be very careful here. We're on 20,000 HP. That really isn't a lot. Veneto, though, does not know about angling, I guess. He's not interested in angling against our guns, so finally, we get the citadel that we need to take him out. Now, I don't think anything is within our detectability range, so as long as we keep the gun silent, we shouldn't be spotted. We know there are 2 ships in the Charlie cap, but they're behind the island in the center of the cap, and we do go unspotted after we keep our gun silent for a moment. So we need to push into this Bravo cap. We need to start at least contesting it so the enemy stops accruing points, and ideally we need to capture it. Our destroyer really is the best suited for that, but he's on the other side of the map near Alpha. by where the Fletcher was last spotted, so hopefully he's going to be able to deal with that Fletcher as we push in. Now, the Baltimore is close to us. He'll be able to spot us, and we'll need to shoot him. Luckily, he is broadside to us bow tanking, illustrating the exact reason why we don't push our battleship forward, sit still, and bow tank. Because if you do this, there's also the chance that somebody is going to be able to get access to your broadside, and you're really not going to be able to move because you're sitting still and just reversing. Just imagine this guy was a battleship, the same thing would be true. He stuck bow in against our battleship, who, to be fair, has done a very good job surviving by just sitting there and bow tanking, but I think that speaks to the lack of maneuvering on the enemy team more than it speaks to the efficacy of bow tanking. In any case, we take out the Baltimore. We're inside of the cap now. We know the Fletcher is over there somewhere north of Alpha. There's a Jean Bar right there who's spamming us with HE. He lights us on fire twice. We DCP, and we're going to park ourselves right behind this island here to cut off line of sight for the Jean Bar. And the Kutuzov that's over there to the east of Charlie is not going to be able to see us either once this island is in his way. There's the Fletcher. He's going behind the island as well. And there, we go unspotted as we break line of sight from the Fletcher. Kutuzov can't see us either. He's shooting at us. He's nearly taken us out. But now that we're concealed, now that we're positioned by this island here, nobody can see us. Therefore, nobody can shoot at us. Once again, concealment and positioning. We have 1,588 HP left. Boy, wouldn't it be nice if we did have will to rebuild. We could heal back up to 20% HP at the very least. There is a battleship approaching us, and I think he's going to be within our will to rebuild range. But we don't run will to rebuild because we don't like the fact that you need to be right next to one of your friendly teammates in order to make it work. Here, by the way, is our concealment paying dividends. If we did not have Kondo as an inspiration on our build, then I think our detectability would be somewhere around 13.5 kilometers, and that Kutuzov would have spotted us as he came around that island. But because we build for concealment, we increase our prospects of survivability, and the Kutuzov didn't spot us. Furthermore, the island is blocking his line of sight, and so we're able to take a free shot at him without getting spotted. Of course, we miss, but the point is we were able to do it without getting spotted, and our teammates have been able to clean up the enemies in the meantime. Our taking this cap has indeed been very clutch. We're about to catch the enemy team in points, and we're still unspotted. The Fletcher is not willing to push in. He's on very low health, and he's being pursued by our last remaining destroyer. We get a nice chunky hit there on the Kutuzov, who still, once again, has not spotted us, and will not spot us unless he comes around that island and pushes to within 12.6 kilometers of us. The only concern we really have is that the Fletcher is going to spot us and give the Kutuzov vision. But at some point, we are going to have to abandon this position. The destroyer is pushing in toward the Fletcher, and I'm thinking now might be an okay time to head forward. Kutuzov is going the opposite way around the island. He's heading in the general direction of the destroyer, and we want to be around to hopefully get his broadside just in case the Fletcher happens to spot the black. But now is the moment of truth. We could push out here, and we could get spotted by the Fletcher. We don't, though, and we notice the Jean Bar is on perilously low HP. We just need to hit him once, so we risk taking a shot. We risk getting spotted. We don't get spotted. The New Jersey takes down the Jean Bars, so the shot wasn't very worth it anyway. And now we're going to try to get around to see if we can get access to this Kutuzov, but we don't really have to. There's less than 1 minute left to go in the game. We're at 693 points. The enemy's at 595. We are not going to lose unless we sink, honestly. The enemy team could sink me with one hit, so it's crucial that I run away now. The Fletcher is far too far away to spot me. He's all the way on the other side of the map, almost inside of his team's spawn or even past that. Kutuzov is in a smoke, so he's not going to be able to see anything. We're fine. We win the game. We take the victory. We don't try to win harder because, of course, we can't. One hit will take us down. Only 99,000 damage done, 2 kills, and 1 capture ribbon. The capture ribbon came in clutch for this game. We're not going to be on top of the leaderboard. That honor is going to go to the Vladivostok, but I think this is sort of an illustration of when to push in and when not to push in. It is not all about just pushing straight in as aggressively as possible, sitting there and bow tanking and shooting people with only your front two guns. You have to recognize the ebb and flow of this game. You need to know when is the time to push in, when is not. And you need to think about your concealment in a battleship. These are all the things that will help you counter counter HE spam without will to rebuild. Obviously, will to rebuild would have come in handy in this game, but we didn't need it because we had good positioning. So, hopefully that provides you some food for thought. Let me know what you think in the comments. Be sure to give the video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Consider subscribing if you haven't already, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.